Hey everybody! I'm here today to give you some easy anxiety advice to be less anxious. And this actually works, okay? So once again, this will be some easy anxiety advice to be less anxious. And this method actually works. This actually works, okay? So believe it or not, I have dealt with anxiety basically my whole life. And I know what you're thinking, how is it possible? Me, someone who speaks on camera so much, who makes an unbelievable amount of content, right? How could I deal with anxiety? Well, I deal with anxiety, right? I'm anxious, I feel anxious, and I've learned to deal with it. So just because you don't see it necessarily doesn't mean that I don't experience it. I've just learned to deal with it. And one piece of advice, honestly, has really helped me. And this works for me. This actually works for me, and it works for most people that I tell it to. And, there are so many methods that work really well, but it's just a matter of finding the one that works best for you. But I'm going to give you one thing that really helps me out. So I'll give you the piece of advice, and then I'll tell you why it works for me. So I like to call it, I don't know if this is the official term, but I call it like realization. So essentially, derealization is when you're focusing on things that are not real. You're derealizing the reality, right? Realization is the opposite. You're realizing what is real. So if I'm feeling anxious, what I do is you need to pause. Like, you can't do this like while you're moving, while you're walking. It's very hard to do this. So for me, everyone's different, but for me, I need to stop. I need it to be as quiet as possible. And that might mean plugging my ears. That might mean go like this. That might mean going like this, right? I couldn't even hear what I was saying there, I'm sorry. But that might mean going like this and plugging my ears, right? Because that sort of drowns out all of the sounds around if I plug my ears. And it might look weird, but if it prevents a panic attack, then so be it. I don't care if I look weird, right? I don't care if I sound weird. It doesn't matter to me. That's part of it. But anyways, that's part of overcoming the anxiety. But realization is getting in a spot where you can think logically instead of out of fear. And then realizing what is the reality. So I'm going to tell you, I'm in my laundry room right now, right? I actually see a tiny little spider in the corner up there with a spider web, right? I see that. I smell detergent because I just put some detergent in the washer. I'm going to be washing mine and my wife's bed sheets. Our bed sheets I'm going to wash momentarily. So I smell that detergent, right? I hear the fridge being on. I have a basement kitchen right out here, and my basement fridge is on, and it's going, like in the sense that it's probably going to fail soon. So it has a loud compressor sound. I can hear it. It just turned off. Look at that coincidence. Now I can't hear it anymore. It's off now, right? So essentially, go through your senses, right? I taste, my mouth is so dry. Look at that. I'm super dehydrated because I promised myself I wouldn't go get water till I filmed my first 5 videos of the day. And right now, this is the 5th one. So believe it or not, I'm going to go get some water after this, right? By doing these things, it makes you realize that you know what is real versus what is a fear. So if I'm anxious about leaving the house, everyone has their own anxieties, right? I'm not going to go over what mine are, okay? I'll tell you one of them. One of my anxieties is that I'm going to lose something from my pocket. So like if I get out of the car, right? And I heard a sound, I'm like, did I drop something? And I look around, right? And then I'm worried, maybe I can't see what I dropped. So I look under. If that happens to me, I just stop and think. Instead of worrying about what I lost, potentially, do I have everything? That's the realization. I have everything on me, in my pockets, in the car. Therefore, I couldn't have lost anything. And that lets me just check quickly, 5 seconds, there's nothing on the ground, and move on, right? Very simple. A lot of people experience anxiety, but did they lock their car? I've seen people do it in parking lots. They'll lock their car like 10 times, right? Instead of doing that, take a second, realize what's the reality, and then just check the door. See if the door doesn't open, your car's locked. You don't need to check. You don't need to lock it 10 times. Lock it once, check the door. And if you're worried, then lock it again. But by checking the door, you realize, wait a second, I don't need to be scared because my car is locked. So essentially, that's my advice. Realize, right? So go through a realization process of what is reality, right? If I look at the viewfinder on the camera, I can see my light up there is shining brightly at the top. I should have adjusted the angle, but it's not a big deal, okay? And that's it. It works for me, but some people might be able to do it in chaos. I need as quiet and as calm as possible. That means sometimes I just, disappear into a different room for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, I'll tell my wife, if my wife and myself, if we're with the kids, and I need 10 seconds to go through realization, I'll tell her, listen, Kaya, her name's Kaya, right? You can always remember to say, hiya, Kaya, right? Or Kaya the San Mariah. Anyways, I always tell people, because they call her Kia, right? When they see the spelling of her name, but her name is Kaya. So I always tell people when I say it the first time, I say, always remember, hiya, Kaya. And honestly, most people never forget. So anyways, I say, Kai, I just need like 20 seconds. And I'll disappear to another room, I'll realize, and I'm good. Okay? And that's it. Honestly, best advice I can give. There's so many things that work well, but that is the biggest thing. Also, this, I just realized on the viewfinder, this is a clothes hanging line. And we've owned the house for 3.5 years. We've never used it once. The old owners used it all the time, I guess. Yeah, I got to take it down because we never use it. It's just held in place by 2 screws on the wall. So yeah, I'm going to take it down probably after this video. That is realization, right? And also another little tip, by focusing on moving forward with something else that can occupy your mind. So the next to do on your list, like I just did right there, then, you can be less anxious, because you're anxious because your mind has the freedom to be anxious, right? In a situation where you have to do fight or flight, where you're instinctively doing things and you need to move quickly and you have 50 things to do, you don't have time to be anxious and you're less anxious. You'll realize, right? I've realized that. When I have time to be anxious, that's when I'm anxious, right? But by realizing and by focusing on the next to do, it makes me and everyone generally, it helps most people be less anxious. That is it. That is my easy anxiety advice to be less anxious, and this actually works. If you like this video tutorial / tip advice video, whatever kind of video you want to call it, if you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment, and of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And now it's time for me to get some water and hydrate myself. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.